Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is where we take that fire hose of source material you see every week and really just extract what matters.
We give you the shortcut. The goal is to get you comprehensively well-informed fast.
And today, we are focusing on, well, the one subject that feels like it's reshaping everything.
Artificial intelligence, yeah. The sources we pulled this week really show it's not a future concept anymore.
No, but not at all.
It's a transformative force. I mean, it has direct, immediate, and sometimes pretty challenging real-world applications.
That's right. So our mission today is to give you a really detailed, kind of a three-dimensional view of where AI is right now.
We've got a whole news digest here.
And it spans everything from, the doctor's clinic all the way to the art gallery, and then into the really tough conversations around ethics.
Right. We want you to grasp the nuanced connections between the tech innovation itself and, well, the societal impact. So we've synthesized this material into three major themes.
We're going to start with the highest stakes area, I think. Groundbreaking advances in healthcare diagnostics.
Literally saving lives.
Exactly. AI finding patterns that are basically invisible to the human eye. Then we're going to pivot pretty dramatically to the future of aesthetics.
Art.
Yeah, human-AI collaboration in art, and what that even means for creativity.
And then finally, we have to tackle the crucial ethical conversations.
The big one.
Bias, accountability, the whole black box problem, especially as AI gets more power in areas like hiring. Ensuring fairness there is, it's paramount.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with where AI is doing the most tangible good. Medicine.
I think that's the perfect launchpad. It just so clearly shows AI operating at a scale and a speed that, humans simply cannot match. It's moving from the academic proof of concept stage right into the clinic.
Okay, so let's start with the big one. The central finding from this research published by a leading university, they've developed a new AI system that is, it's fundamentally changing the game for patients with rare diseases. The paper describes it as diagnosing these conditions with unprecedented accuracy.
And we really have to pause on that phrase for a second. Unprecedented accuracy.
Right.
To understand what that means, you have to think about the lived experience of a rare disease patient.
The diagnostic odyssey, they call it.
An odyssey, yeah. That's almost a gentle term for it. It's often years and years of frustration of being told it's all in your head.
It's not a quick trip to the doctor.
Not at all. The sources suggest that for some of these conditions, patients spend an average of 7 to 10 years.
10 years.
Just trying to get a correct diagnosis. They see dozens of specialists. They go through painful, unnecessary procedures, get treatments for the wrong thing.
And all that time, the actual condition is getting worse.
Exactly. The time lag isn't just about their quality of life, which is devastating. It's a huge economic burden. Think of the wasted resources, the preventable hospital visits. It's a strain on the entire healthcare system.
Which makes the promise of this AI so critical.
Yeah.
It could potentially collapse that timeline from a decade down to, days, weeks.
That is the core benefit. That's the revolution. A human doctor, no matter how brilliant or experienced they are, is still limited.
Limited by their own experience.
By their own practice, yeah. By the articles they have time to read, the specific patients they happen to see. If a doctor has seen just one case of, say, Fabry disease in their entire career, they are very likely to misdiagnose the second case they see because the symptoms can look so much like more common illnesses.
So the AI is built to overcome that exact human limitation.
Precisely. It catches what gets overlooked. And when you catch these things early, the potential to save lives or at least dramatically improve them, it just becomes... it's instantly quantifiable.
But I have to ask this because it's the obvious question. If the symptoms are so subtle that a team of human experts can miss them for years, how is an AI seeing these patterns? What is it actually looking at that we're not?
Okay, so this is where we need to get into the mechanics of it. It's not magic.
Right. The system relies on a really powerful combination of machine learning algorithms, specifically deep learning networks. But the code itself, the architecture, that's only half the story.
The data.
The data is the game changer, the scale and the quality of the training data.
And when you say deep learning, just to clarify for our listeners, that means it's not just checking off a list of symptoms that a human programmed in.
That's a perfect way to put it, yes.
It's learning what the symptoms are on its own, like how image recognition learned to identify cats without being told what ears and whiskers are.
Precisely. Traditional machine learning might need a doctor to manually input a checklist of known features. Deep learning can take the raw data, and I mean raw. We're talking whole genome sequencing results, MRI scans, pathology reports, hundreds of pages of unstructured clinical notes,
All at once.
all at the same time. And the network teaches itself to weight millions of tiny data points, these tiny correlations, to find a predictive pattern. It's finding connections that a human brain literally could not hold on to. And the key thing that the sources kept highlighting was this massive global collaboration to get that data.
That collaboration is the central achievement here, both scientifically and logistically. A rare disease is, by definition, rare where you live.
Right.
But if you pool together thousands of those rare cases from hospitals all over the world, suddenly in your data set, the disease isn't so rare anymore.
You have enough examples for the AI to learn from.
Exactly. The research team partnered with hospitals and clinics across continents.
Okay, but that has to bring up a huge red flag. You're talking about aggregating enormous amounts of the most sensitive patient data imaginable from all over the world.
It's a massive hurdle.
How do they deal with patient consent? With data privacy, you have different laws like IPAY in the US and GDPR in Europe. How do you square that circle?
That's an excellent question, and it's a critical friction point. The sources are clear that this required a totally new way of thinking about data governance. They didn't just, upload raw patient files to a Dropbox.
I would hope not.
They relied very heavily on a technique called federated learning.
Okay, break that down for us. What is federated learning?
So instead of bringing the data to the algorithm, you bring the algorithm to the data. The AI model itself, just the code, is sent to the local hospital's secure servers. The model then gets trained on that local private data right there in situ.
So the patient information never leaves the hospital's firewall?
Never. The only thing that gets sent back to the central server is the learning, the mathematical adjustments the model made, the parameters. And those are then aggregated with the parameters learned from all the other hospitals.
That's very clever.
Right.
So the AI gets the benefit of a global experience, but the individual patient's data stays local and anonymous.
Exactly. And that global scale is what makes it so powerful. It lets the system see beyond the obvious symptoms. It's detecting these highly nuanced anomalies. A subtle genetic marker here, a weird distribution of fat on an MRI there, a combination of 3 lab results that, on their own, look totally fine.
He's hearing the whispers in the data.
That's a great way to put it. It hears the whispers that a human doctor who is juggling 6 other patients and is limited by their own cognitive load might miss.
And the sources are really, really clear on this point. This is not about replacing the doctor.
No, it is an essential distinction. The AI is a pattern recognition engine. It's a possibility funnel.
Right.
It gives the doctor a probability distribution. It says, look, based on 10,000 similar cases from around the world, this patient's profile aligns 95% with condition X.
So it takes the doctor from starting at 0 to starting at 95%.
Yes. The final diagnosis, the critical thinking, the discussion with the patient, the empathy, that all remains essentially human. The doctor is still the captain of the ship. The AI is just a revolutionary new navigation system.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because now we can talk about this so what. What does this mean for patients and for the future of how we even practice medicine?
Well, the long-term implications are they're foundational. The most immediate one, beyond just diagnosing rare diseases, is the move toward truly personalized medicine.
Personalized medicine is a term we hear a lot. It can feel like a buzzword. What does it actually mean concretely with this kind of AI power?
It means we can finally move past the one-size-fits-all approach to treatment.
The standard protocols.
Right. The protocols derived from big clinical trials on an average patient that doesn't really exist. If this AI can tell you not just that you have a condition, but that you have a very specific molecular variant of that condition.
Then you can tailor the treatment to that exact variant.
Exactly. To your individual biology, your genetic predispositions, how you personally metabolize certain drugs, even predicting which side effects you're most likely to have.
So we're moving from just treating the disease to crafting a perfectly tailored battle plan for an individual patient's unique system.
Absolutely. And the end result, the ultimate payoff, is a massive improvement in patient outcomes. Diagnosis is faster, so treatment can be less invasive. It's less resource intensive. Recovery is quicker. It's a powerful, positive feedback loop.
You're reducing the burden of chronic illness and hopefully improving mortality rates.
Drastically.
Okay, but if this trend continues, and everything suggests it will, it forces a really difficult question for the next generation of doctors and nurses. How does this shift Medical training. I mean, if the diagnostic heavy lifting is increasingly done by an AI, what is the core value of the human physician in, say, 2040?
I think it suggests a profound pivot in how we educate doctors.
Do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Future doctors might spend a lot less time on, the rote memorization of thousands of differential diagnoses.
Because the machine knows all of them.
And significantly more time mastering complex systems thinking, on ethical decision-making, on learning how to apply these highly personalized AI-informed therapies.
So the human role shifts.
It shifts from being the primary pattern matcher to being the sophisticated system integrator, the ethicist. And maybe most critically, the source of empathy and communication when a patient is at their most vulnerable.
The expertise becomes less about remembering every single detail and more about knowing how to ask the right questions of the tool that holds all the details.
It's a change in the nature of expertise, not a diminishment of the need for it. The challenge is immense, but I think the sources present this as an overwhelmingly hopeful glimpse into a future of better human health outcomes.
Okay, let's shift gears completely. We're going from the life-saving objective science of diagnostics to the completely subjective philosophical world of aesthetics.
It's a powerful contrast. Section 1 was about biological patterns, and this section is all about defining artistic patterns. It shows how ubiquitous this technology is becoming.
Right, it's influencing our core definitions of things like value and originality. And the evidence for that is this new exhibition at a renowned art gallery, showcasing works that are created through human-AI collaboration.
And it is so important to clarify what that means. These are not, just images someone typed a prompt for and printed out.
Right. It's not a cat in the style of Van Gogh.
No. The sources really emphasize that these pieces are the result of a synergy, a deep, interactive process.
Synergy, that's the word they use.
It really captures the dynamic. It starts with the human artist, with their intention, their emotional drive, their inspiration, a mood they want to capture. The human provides the why, the soul.
And so what does the AI bring to that collaboration? What's its role?
The AI is, in essence, a massively powerful stylistic synthesizer. It's a pattern generator. It's been trained on basically the entire history of human art.
Everything.
Millennia of art history, design principles, color theory. So it assists by generating novel patterns, forms, compositions, based on the very specific things the human artist feeds it.
So an artist could say, I want something that feels like the color palette of late Monet, but with the stark line work of Cubism, and it should represent the feeling of ecological anxiety.
And the AI can instantly generate thousands of visual options that embody that contradictory abstract prompt. It can make these jarring, unexpected connections that a human artist who has their own habits and biases developed over a lifetime
Might never think of on their own.
Exactly. The machine doesn't have those same creative ruts. It isn't constrained by its own experience.
And that leads to the most compelling result cited in the sources. The AI helps create forms that might never have occurred to a human alone.
That's it. That's the core of the debate. It suggests the AI is generating genuine novelty, not just, speeding up a derivative process.
So it's not just a fancy photocopier.
No, it's more like a creative sparring partner. The machine provides the unexpected jab, the surprising move.
Right.
The human artist then provides the refinement, the curation, the selection, and the thematic context that gives the final work its meaning. The art is the dialogue itself.
Which, of course, throws us directly into this philosophical and, maybe more importantly, legal quicksand.
The authorship debate.
The authorship debate. Yeah. If the machine generates the form, but the human had the idea and made the final selection, who gets the credit? The human. The machine. Both.
This is a profound challenge. It really undermines centuries of copyright and intellectual property law, which has always rooted artistic value in conscious human intention and execution. A tool...
Like a paintbrush. Or a camera.
Right, a paintbrush is a passive extension of the artist's hand. It does what it's told.
But this tool is, talking back, it's an active generative participant. It's moving from being a passive tool to a co-creator.
And that forces us to try and define the very boundaries of creativity. What is it? If creativity is just about the novelty and originality of the final output, then, well, the machine has a pretty strong claim.
But if creativity requires conscious intent, emotional depth, the why behind the work,
then the human remains indispensable.
And legally, the sources say this is a total mess. The U.S. Copyright Office, for instance, has been very firm that you can only copyright human-authored works.
That's right, but the gray area is it's vast. What if the human's contribution is mainly the initial prompt, and then selecting the best of 100 options? Is that curation process a sufficient spark of creativity to grant full copyright? The law is struggling to keep up.
What about the other side of this, though? The argument that these works are, inherently derivative.
The counter-argument.
Yeah, that the AI is just doing a very sophisticated remix of all the art it was trained on. It's not creating anything truly new, it's just recombining. Does this devalue the years, the decades of skill and mastery it takes a human artist to develop their craft?
That's a completely valid and necessary critique. The argument is that the AI lacks subjective experience. It's never felt love or loss. It can only regurgitate and remix what it's been fed.
So the art might look cool, but it's fundamentally hollow.
That's the argument. And it raises a huge market question. What happens to the value of traditional handcrafted art when the market is flooded with these highly polished, complex, AI-assisted pieces?
And yet, the buzz around this exhibition, the sources say it's huge. Critics and fans are excited. They seem to value the innovation, the new possibilities, maybe more than the philosophical purity of who gets the credit.
For many artists, especially those interested in conceptual work, this is an unbelievably powerful tool for innovation. It lets them realize visions they might not have the technical painting or sculpting skills to achieve on their own.
It's a democratizing force, in a way.
In some ways, yes. It challenges all of us to appreciate art for its final emotive effect, regardless of how the labor was divided between, carbon and silicon. The question isn't whether AI can create, but whether we as a society are ready to value what it creates.
Okay. We've seen the miracle of AI in medicine, and we've waded into the complex debate over AI in art. But now we have to ground ourselves in the most critical conversation.
Ethics.
Ethics. Because this introspection, this self-criticism is essential for responsible progress. In fact, the incredible power we just talked about in Section 1.
The ability to find invisible patterns.
Exactly. That is precisely the power we have to be so careful with here.
It's a perfect bridge. That pattern matching power is morally neutral, but its application carries immense weight. The sources we have point to a recent report that focused on AI systems being used in really high-stakes areas, specifically in hiring.
And the finding is, it's disturbing, but maybe not surprising. These AI systems, which were designed to make recruitment more objective and efficient,
To remove human bias.
have been found to inadvertently perpetuate and even amplify the exact biases they were meant to eliminate.
It's a profound failure of design. The intention was objectivity, but the outcome is systemic discrimination, just implemented at a massive scale at warp speed. The irony is just tragic. The tech we built to erase our flaws just digitized them.
So let's explain the root cause as clearly as possible for everyone listening. This isn't the algorithm being malicious.
No.
It's a classic input problem.
It's the absolute essence of garbage in, garbage out, but with devastating consequences. The bias isn't created by the algorithm. It's already there, baked into the training data.
So if you train an AI on, say, 10 years of a company's hiring data,
And that company, historically, whether consciously or not, tended to hire men from certain universities for its top roles.
and then the AI just learns that being a man from one of those universities is a key predictor of success.
Exactly. The algorithm doesn't understand sexism or classism. It only understands correlation. So it learns to penalize resumes that don't fit that historical pattern. It might downweight a resume from a historically black college or from a candidate who took time off to raise children. It essentially weaponizes historical disadvantage.
And this whole problem is made so much worse by the black box nature of these systems.
The black box is the core of the problem from a justice perspective. These deep learning models are so complex, with millions of variables all interacting, that even the people who built them often can't tell you exactly why a specific decision was made.
So the output is just candidate rejected. And if you ask why,
The answer is a shrug.
Yep.
Or the model is too complex. You can't pinpoint the specific feature that caused the rejection.
which makes it almost impossible to challenge. If you're an applicant and you suspect you were discriminated against, you have no way to prove it.
And the company can just say, the machine made the decision. It becomes a shield for systemic injustice. And that is why there is such a fierce, and I think necessary, push for greater transparency.
Okay, so what's the response?
Yeah.
In the face of these findings, the sources say there is a strong pushback happening.
A very strong pushback, yeah. From tech companies themselves, who are starting to realize the reputational and legal risk, and from policymakers.
They're all calling for greater transparency and accountability.
This shift toward transparency is crucial. It means we have to find ways to crack open that black box, even just a little. It's a field called explainable AI, or XAI.
Explainable AI. What does that look like in practice? What kind of tools are we talking about?
Well, XAI involves developing methods to translate these incredibly complex algorithmic decisions into terms a human can actually understand.
So it's like a translator.
Sort of. There are techniques that allow an auditor to check the algorithm's reasoning for a specific decision. So for one rejected applicant, it can highlight which features in their resume contributed positively to their score and which ones contributed negatively.
So the company could see, oh, the algorithm is penalizing people for a 2-year gap in their employment history, which might unfairly affect women, for example.
Exactly. It lets you spot the bias in action. But transparency is the technical challenge. Accountability is the legal and regulatory one.
Right. Who's at fault?
If an algorithm unfairly rejects thousands of qualified people, who is liable? The company using it, the vendor who sold it to them, the developer who trained it on biased data.
We need a legal framework that assigns that liability. That would force companies to do rigorous bias audits before they deploy these systems.
If the financial penalty for getting it wrong is high enough, it changes the incentive structure. It shifts the focus from move fast and break things to move carefully and be fair.
And the sources mention specific remedies. The most important one seems to be diversity in the training data itself.
It's the starting point for everything.
But that's not as simple as just grabbing more data, right? It has to be intentional.
It has to be proactive curation. If you just passively collect more historical data, you're just collecting more historical bias. You have to actively seek out and sometimes even oversample data from underrepresented groups to correct for that historical imbalance.
And what about building ethics into the development process itself? What does that look like?
That's about governance. It means companies need to have structures in place like internal ethical review boards that have real power.
A group that can say no.
A group that can say, no, we are not deploying this until we can prove it's fair. It forces developers to move past just thinking, can we build this? And start asking, should we build this? And if so, how do we make sure it serves society responsibly?
And the ultimate goal here, it's stated so clearly across all the material, is to create systems that are fair, inclusive, and imbue, and that actually reflect the diverse world we live in.
This isn't just about avoiding a lawsuit.
No, it's about safeguarding economic opportunity for millions of people.
This whole dialogue just underscores that technological progress has to be matched step for step by ethical vigilance. If the most advanced tools of our age are the gatekeepers for jobs, for loans, for opportunities,
And those tools are biased.
then they become engines for reinforcing generational inequality. It doesn't matter how sophisticated they are. We can't let our drive for efficiency compromise our commitment to equity.
The technical challenge of fixing the bias is huge, but the social mandate to do it is absolute.
And it requires everyone working together. Technical innovations in XAI, legal innovations in accountability, and a real cultural shift in how tech teams approach design. We have to be able to trust that the incredible power we saw in Section 1, the power that saves lives, isn't accidentally turned against us here.
So we have covered 3 immense, really different areas today. We went from the microscopic battle against disease to this macro philosophical debate over art, and then ended on this necessary struggle for systemic fairness.
It's been quite a deep dive.
It has.
To kind of synthesize it, we established that AI is just. It's transforming diagnostics, using these massive global data sets to offer hope for conditions we used to think were untreatable.
Then we went into the gallery, right? We explored how AI is redefining what it even means to be an artist through this really intentional back and forth collaboration between a human and a machine.
Yeah, challenging centuries of assumptions about authorship.
Exactly.
And then critically, we ended on the absolute necessity of ethical vigilance, focusing on tackling data bias in high-stakes areas like hiring and demanding both technical transparency and real institutional accountability.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener?
I think it means that AI is not some peripheral tech trend you can ignore. It is the dominant transformative force shaping our future, and it's forcing us to evolve our laws, our ethics, and our creative industries in real time just to keep up.
And as we close out, I want to leave you with a final thought, one that really connects the dots between the immense power we discussed in medicine and the crucial caution we raised around ethics.
Okay, so think about this. Given the absolutely incredible demonstrated power of AI to identify subtle, life-saving patterns in rare diseases patterns that were impossible for any single human to see, How must we adjust our regulatory approach to make sure that same incredible pattern matching ability is never, ever used, accidentally or intentionally, to identify and perpetuate subtle societal biases in ways we haven't even thought of yet? The data tells a story. The morality is in how we choose to listen.
Stay curious, keep questioning, and we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.